Hello everybody, thanks for watching. I've been waiting about a week now to see what happened with the Middle East peace deal because it's actually a monumental time, especially if it can work and last. For right now, they got what they call like phase one, where the Israelis withdrew to a certain point, and all of the 20 live hostages were turned over to Israel, and they were supposed to get 28 or whatever dead bodies returned. Well, they got in the initial haul, they got 4, but one of them was a Palestinian, not an Israeli. And what's being basically said is the leadership of Hamas doesn't know where these dead bodies are. They're trying to find them, but it may be, from what I'm hearing from some people, that the people who knew where the bodies were buried or whatever are dead. And the people that are still running Hamas that are alive don't know what happened to the bodies. That's condensing it all down. There's lots of things being said, but that's condensing it down. Don't know what happened. And some of the people who are in charge of Hamas now say they don't even know how many or who they were that died, let alone where they're at. They don't know. But if this peace deal can work, and if Hamas will disarm, which is yet to be figured out, because if it don't, the fighting's going to resume. Because Israel's not going to let Hamas stay armed or in charge of anything. They're going to have no part to play in the future government. So that's kind of where all that is. If it can work, I heard President Trump saying, well, it'd be the first time over there in the Middle East that they'd had peace in 3,000 years. Well, no, that's not correct. It would be the first time in recorded history, because as far as we got back on both written records and oral history, there's never been peace in the Middle East. Never. Not that any of us know about. There's always, even in the Bible, there's always been the war. There's always been the fighting, the killing. It never stopped. It's very tribal. It's a tribal mindset over there. And until they can shake that off, it's not going to happen. But if it does happen, then Trump and his people will be the greatest negotiators for peace that ever existed. I don't care what anybody says if it works. It's got to work. It may not work, but there's a shot. And to those people in the United States and around the world that didn't want to give Trump any credit, well, nothing anybody else did worked. Nobody else got this far. There were many people, several years ago saying none of those hostages were coming back alive. But they did. Well, at least some of them did. And so that's that's kind of where this is. But I think it's pretty sickening to put down and go after President Trump for trying to get peace and save lives. I find that abhorrently sickening. And then when some good does happen, not to even want to acknowledge what he's done, that's even worse. And to those Nobel people, before this he'd already solved 7 wars, and to not give him the Nobel Peace Prize under those conditions, especially for that Armenian Azerbaijan war, stuff like that, that's been going on forever. To not give him the Peace Prize, that just goes to show that those elite Norwegians that handle the money were totally political. The Peace Prize doesn't mean what it used to mean, not at all. Probably neither do any of the prizes that they hand out, because if you're giving them out political, like to Obama, who never stopped one war, where before that Peace Prize was divvied out, Trump had at least stopped 6 or 7. That's just a terrible to give it to somebody who never stopped a war. Corazon! So you do not do stuff like that in the Western world and remain critical or have any importance whatsoever, any credibility. The Nobel people, their whole credibility is shot right in the ass because of what they done. I didn't think there was any real route for peace in the Middle East, and now I realize there may be a route for peace in the Middle East, and I'm kind of happy that it was the United States president that led that way. Even if it breaks down, he got the people back, and if it doesn't work this time, I think there's a real path forward for eventual peace. It's something that, for the first time in my 64 years, I can see that there may be a route toward ending the constant fighting in the Middle East. That's all I got for today. Bye-bye.